working with Festive Road, and today I'm here in conversation with Julia from Advantage Business Travel. Hi Julia, welcome.
Hi, nice to see you here.
Glad you could be here. I know you've got a really busy couple of days at the Business Travel show in London. So we're talking about managed travel today. Which part of managed travel would you like to talk about?
It's a tough one because obviously, you know, they're all so critical. The one that I'd really like to focus on is engagement.
Engagement, okay. We love engagement at Festive Road. We say it takes many forms. So tell me what specifically about engagement it is that you'd like to share.
Okay, so, you know, the business that I represent, Advantage, we support TMCs in the SME marketplace. And one of the things that we found that works really well for them and they're the real key asset that they have, which is in their DNA, is all around personalisation. So, you know, that takes many forms, but fundamentally it's about how they engage with their buyers and their corporates. And one of the things we found is, again, that takes many forms, but the key element of that is one, truly understanding the needs and requirements from their buyers. Cultural fit, and that comes up time and time again. You know, culturally, what's that DNA of the business? You know, how do you really form a partnership? How do you really engage and really understand what the buyers are looking for as part of their travel program? And you can only do that with true engagement. So for us, engagement is absolutely at the core of that relationship, at the core of that partnership.
Okay, great. And have you noticed that this is something that's becoming more important? So is it something that in 2020 buyers and suppliers need to be more aware about? Do they need to be consciously spending more time or?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think, you know, clearly it's always been very critical and you know, clearly the independent sector has always been quite key, and, you know, it's in their DNA to work in a really engaged manner with their buyers and corporates. But yeah, I think that there are nowadays so many fundamental areas that are so important to creating that partnership. That engagement process is really critical. So right at the start of that RFP process, right the way through to the end in terms of delivery. And there are a lot of moral areas that we need to think about nowadays. You know, well-being, sustainability, that all forms part of it as well. So how does the TMC truly start engaging with the buyer and understanding, you know, actually what is their end objective? What are the objectives of the business? You know, how can the TMC through the travel program help meet some of those objectives? You know, I've sat with TMCs that, you know, are starting to ask questions about, you know, when they go to a hotel, when they're in a meeting, are they expecting to see paper on the desk? Are they expecting to see, you know, what are their sustainability goals? Okay, so from a meeting perspective, how can I as a TMC help try and drive some of those objectives for you through your travel program? You know, whether that's from paper at meetings or paper cups or whatever that looks like. So right the way through that process.
Okay, interesting. So that level of engagement is thinking of the buyer-supplier engagement. Have you heard anything from the TMCs within Advantage around how then their customers are talking to their travellers and how they're engaging travellers or maybe listening? Is that missing still, or does that is that already happening, or does it need to happen?
I think for a lot of our members that happens through that really close contact they have with their buyers.
Okay.
You know, they may not have direct access to the travellers, not all of them, depends on the size of the corporate. But more and more we are finding that the only way to kind of close that gap is to make sure the engagement, the TMC has that engagement at every different level. So how can the TMC affect that whole supply chain, right from, you know, we talk about the triangle, you know, the buyer, the supplier and the TMC. So actually how can we help bring those together so that the TMC can really influence that whole process?
Okay, interesting. So you're talking on a theme actually that I was speaking on stage here at the Business Travel Show about earlier, about the match between the right fit between buyers and suppliers. And we were laughing because we were relaying it as if it was a dating analogy, and choosing the wrong husband and then ending in divorce.
I think that's a great example.
Or choosing the right supplier, the wrong supplier. If you're the wrong match at the beginning, it's going to end in divorce, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's a personal relationship or another relationship. So are you seeing selection criteria changing? Are people becoming more aware of getting the right fit between two companies?
Definitely. Yeah. So I think what we're seeing certainly in the marketplace is, you know, now for us we're seeing it's a time for the independent sector. We're seeing it's a time for the independent TMC, and that doesn't just mean smaller. It just means actually what is their process as part of that, as part of the RFP. What processes are they really taking the time to deliver now to understand what those end goals are and what part can they play in the overall strategic objectives of the organisation. So that is changing, and I think the travellers changing. Obviously, travellers are changing. The generational difference that are and different requirements that are coming from the travellers. So that's transcending right the way through that process. So the only way that our TMCs are going to be able to stay relevant, the only way that they are going to be able to understand the cultural fit, is to make sure that they do have the insight from the traveller. So they've got to work closer with their corporates and with the buyer to make sure they get access to the traveller to understand what their needs are.
Yeah, okay. Interestingly, in the session we were in, we were talking about this real need to fit the business requirements of the customer with the capability, the true capability of the TMC. And actually that's where the magic happens, when you find that right fit, and within that business requirement might be cultural fit as well.
Yeah.
So I imagine in your world, in the SME space, the cultural fit must be really key.
Very key, and it's something that, cultural fit, personalisation is something that our members do really well. So the 122 members that we've got across the country range from very small end of SME to the large scale, so multi-million dollar accounts, so multi-million pound accounts. So it does vary, but that culture fit is intrinsic, but it's in their DNA. If the SME market is in their DNA, and that's what they do best, and it's they're shining through right now, and that's certainly what we're seeing.
Do you know what I love when I speak to some of your members is you'll ask them about culture or personalisation of service or whatever, and they almost look at you like you've got two heads and say, that's just normal. That's just like a part of what we do.
It's in their DNA,
right,
and that's what I say.
Okay.
It's absolutely in their DNA right the way through.
Okay. So thinking of engagement, is there any advice you would give to travel buyers or customers of your SME TMCs as to what they should focus on more?
I think they need to focus on communication with their TMC, in trying to ensure that at the point of that RFP or recontracting, that they are having the conversation with their TMC about what their overall objectives are, what part can they play. And then I think sometimes it can be just a transaction, but for our members it's not a transaction. They want to be part of that process. So bring them in closer together. Make sure that the TMC really truly understands your overall objectives, the cultural fit of the organisation, and actually give them access to the travellers. Give them access to the travellers so that they truly understand what the requirements are and actually what value that can then provide to them as the buyer.
Great, I love that. Well, thank you so much. I know you've been
having
really
me.
busy on Advantage the last couple of days.
It's been very busy, but really pleased to talk to you.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, Julia.
Thank you.